Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, I have Eric here with me, and our plan is to attach the M5 rear subframe to our new 240Z chassis. Stay tuned. So in the last episode, you probably remember we did the front jig to give us our suspension mounting points, but we can't go ahead and install that onto the chassis yet because we don't know where the front lives. But we do know where the rear lives. It lives right here where we made space for it. So in today's episode, Eric and I are going to make a negative jig to fit the M5 rear subframe based off of the chassis that we have right here, the shell, and then we're going to transfer that jig over and we're going to build mounting points on our frame rails so we can go ahead and bolt up our rear subframe. So to get to work, it's the same thing we did in the last episode. We got to start cutting up some of that square tube to size, and then start welding it in and build a negative jig based on the shell. The adventure of drilling holes in metal took us a little bit more time again, but we now have our tabs that are going to go over our little mounting hole things. And Eric, while we were doing that, Eric welded up the base structure. So now Eric's going to go ahead and jump in and weld all those tabs to base structure, and then we'll start to come out and go up for the strut tower. So this is our negative jig for the pickup points. That's where the subframe will bolt into the frame rails. This obviously goes underneath this. But the next thing we got to do is come off of these and then up to figure out where the strut towers are supposed to go. So that's the last thing that we're going to do real quick. I got to cut a couple 6-inchers, a couple tall pieces, and a couple discs, and then we'll weld everything up. So we finished up with our rear negative jig. So you got the strut towers right there and all the 4 mounting points right there. So now it's time to start focusing on the frame rails of the chassis. We know we want a 31-inch width between both of these rails consistently throughout, and we need it to be level and square and all that good stuff. So rather than building a whole table and doing all that stuff, what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and level this thing out, square it out, do all of our measurements, and make sure everything is completely square like you'd want it. And then we're going to actually weld in a couple temporary support bars between the frame rails. So one going from there to there, and up there, one going from there to there. That way we know that we're basically working with a completely level surface. But before that, lunch break.
Yeah, this place is gonna smell fantastic.
Eric's never had Korean barbecue, so we're gonna try this sketchy ass joint.
Lunch was fantastic. Moving back onto the frame, what we're doing right now, the first step before we do any of this fiddling with suspensions, we need to make sure these frame rails are 100% straight. So we're going to be doing a lot of measuring and leveling and everything like that right now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to weld in some supports to tie these two things to each other. But we need to make sure that they're level, level, straight and triangulated so they're square as well. So it's a lot of measuring to do. Then we'll tie them together, and then everything that we build off of this from now on will all be level and straight. Okay, we got it all 100% square, diagonally, and level, So it's looking good. Next thing that we're gonna go ahead and do now is take our negative jig and we'll put it in place here in the rear subframe section and start to design the mounts that we're gonna build off of the back of this frame rail to mount up to the rear subframe right here. So rather than starting building the mounts for the subframe, we actually wanted to finish welding the join between our main frame rail and our rear frame rail. So what we did was we welded in a support back there that kept everything the right width. And then we went ahead and Eric did a strip weld on both sides of this. And then tomorrow I'm gonna come in and we're gonna, this will be sliced, pushed down to that, welded, everything welded together, and then there'll be a reinforcement piece that'll get welded on top of that. And then we're gonna do a reinforcement piece on the side here for both of these. This is a very important part of the structure, so it needs to be like rock solid. And it was actually really the right move to do that before we do that. But unfortunately that means that we're not gonna be building the mounts tonight. But this stuff can't be rushed. Hey, in other news, really fun shop news, I bought a new welder. This is my new welder. It's Eric's old welder. He just sold it to me. I got a great deal on it, and it's definitely a good quality welder that's gonna help me learn a lot faster TIG welding, and we're gonna be using it on the rest of this entire project. So I thought it was a good upgrade, and that allows Eric now to get his dream welder. He's gonna upgrade and move forward. So Eric's a professional welder. He uses these things every day. So I was using it today, and I really enjoyed it. While I'm on the subject of products, a lot of you guys have commented about this heater, wanting to know what it is. I've got emails about it, and the company was really cool to hook me up with it for free, so I want to give them a shout out. The company is New Air, and it's a G73 hardwired garage heater, and I'll put a link to this in the description if you're interested in it. I really highly recommend it. You guys know we had kind of heating problems a lot in this shop, and this is a solution. It's a lot of heat in a small package, and it works fantastically. So I really appreciate that company for hooking me up and keeping us warm, because although it's nice and sunny during the day, it's still really cold at night here. And I normally have that on in the background, but it's too loud to have on during filming time. So the next steps, well, okay, let me tell you about the next steps. The next steps are reinforcing this joint here and here, like I mentioned, and then we need to get this thing dead nuts straight on the rear chassis. So this thing needs to be 100% straight relative to the frame rails and the rest of the chassis moving forward. It's difficult because these two mounting points are on different heights and they're on different widths. So it's a tricky one. And that is something I'm gonna figure out tomorrow. All right, guys, that is where we're gonna wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining. If you wanna help out BS for Build and you wanna help support this build, head over to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, pick yourself up a shirt like this before they're all gone. And if you wanna find us in more places, find us on Instagram, BS for Build on there, or find us on Facebook, we're also BS for Build on there. I apologize, we didn't make it as far as I wanted to today on this. I really thought we could bust it all out, but this was definitely like a slow and safe and cautious methodology, strategery. You guys get what I'm saying. Anyways, better to be slow and safe than to go fast and be sorry later. So that's what we did today. Tomorrow, I think I will finish busting those things out. That's the game plan. I want to jump on those things, and then we get to dig into the Datsun. We'll see, depending on how the weather goes. If the weather's going to be great tomorrow, I might just jump onto the Datsun anyways. We'll just see what I decide when I wake up. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate you all. Bye-bye. Peace!